Some of the lessons that we learn in life, they come from people who either are mentors to us. And in most cases, when that happens, we've got a choice whether to do that or not. But some of the changes and lessons in life come when our backs are against the wall, when we face challenges, when we go up the uphill, when we face serious struggles of life. And at that point, it is no longer a matter of tactical change. You are required to change, because if you don't change, your circumstances are going to be dire, or you're going to find yourself more and more into the pit. And the issue is not facing and overcoming those challenges. It's who you become in that process. And that's what I would like to talk about today. That is why the Buddhists have said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that is when the universe says to you, enough is enough. You've got to pivot and face the challenge of life and become that person that you were born to be, for you to be able to change your circumstances. Now let's look at some of the things that are gifts to you, but they may not appear as gifts. They appear as a burden. They appear as a struggle that is going to put your life more into the quagmire. But if you decide to step back and say, out of this grief, what is the lesson that I'm learning? Out of this dark situation, what is the lesson that I'm learning? Then your life is going to become much better. Let's start here. You find yourself in a relationship where you are not taken seriously. Be it a romantic relationship, be it a platonic relationship. You bring your all, you contribute, you demonstrate that you regard this relationship as important, but there is no reciprocity coming from other people. They always take advantage of you. Over time, when you say enough is enough, you're going to stand back and say, not anymore. And what gift are you going to get out of that? By taking that step is to develop courage. Is the courage to say no. Is the courage to set up boundaries. Is the courage to send a message to other people that they are not going to play on top of your head. So that is the gift that you get out of that type of situation or that type of relationship, because you developing that courage is going to assist you in other relationships, be it in your career, be it in business dealings. Developing that courage to say no so that you are not taken advantage of. The other example that we can make is about losing your job. Nobody wakes up looking forward to losing their job. We look forward to being secured so that we can take off our futures, so that we can be able to take the future of those that are important to us. But the economies of different countries have not been stable over a long time. And even in the South African market, people have lost jobs. Your human resource professionals, your business leaders, before they know it, after one retrenchment, the other one follows. And people are no longer sure what is going to happen with their lives. And when we look at retrenchment, and I'm not for any reason saying look forward to retrenchment, when we look at this situation, people end up losing their jobs. But I know of a few people that said, I appreciate this gift of retrenchment. And it sounded odd to me when I started speaking to this person. And he said, I had gone through 3 retrenchments in my life. And I stood back and said, but what is the gift that these retrenchments are giving me? And what an odd way to ask yourself, what gift is it coming from retrenchment? He said, but I asked myself, why is it happening for me for the 3rd time? And he said to me, I knew deep down inside of myself that I wanted to do something. But every time I was retrenched, I would focus on looking for the next job. But on the third occasion, I said, I'm not going to experience this for the first time. I'm going to do what I know has been burning deep down inside of me. And he started opening a bakery. He struggled at the beginning, just like any other business, but ultimately the business succeeded. I know of other people who went through more or less the same. It might not have been 3 retrenchments, but after the first retrenchment, they said, wow, I cannot do this 9 to 5. I'm going to open my business, and they have flourished as a result. So don't take my message wrong. I'm not saying look forward to retrenchment, but I'm saying when these things happen, like losing your job, we sometimes stay in this dark hole thinking about why me, what am I going to do? But the question is, are you using the opportunity to ask yourself pertinent question about what is the gift that might be coming out of this unpalatable situation that I'm facing at this particular moment. Let's look at other ways in which people end up learning or forced to learn the near-death experiences. I know of people who were living their lives in a pedestrian way, engaging in unhealthy eating habits that affected their health, engaging in or indulging in substance abuse and not looking at themselves. But came a point where now they had to be under the knife. They had to be under ICU for them to restore their lives. And only at that point, they looked back and said, the road that I was on is not sustainable. I've got to do something about my life. And at that point, they stood back and used the power of reflection to say, what is it that I want in life? Why am I pursuing something that is not benefiting me in my life? And at that point, they stood back and said, I can do better. Enough is enough. I am not going to eat the way I've been eating. I'm not going to indulge the way I've been indulging. Because if I continue doing this thing, I'll either end up in jail, I will either end up having killed a person, especially where substance abuse is concerned, or I will end up at a graveyard. And at that point, they took a decision to say, enough is enough. Because eating unhealthily, drinking over the limit nearly landed them in unpalatable situations. So it's about you stepping back and thinking deeply about what you're going through. Let's look at another example of people who find themselves in jail, and it is only at that point that the lessons of life learned. I used to work in a prison, and there was this guy who did a portrait for me. And when I looked at the portrait, I asked him, and I actually firstly congratulated him for doing a sterling job, but I also asked a question, when did you realize that you've got this talent? And he said to me, I've always known that I had the talent, but when I was on the outside, I never gave that talent a chance. But now that I'm inside, I'm reflecting on my life, and I'm saying, if I could have pursued this talent, my life could have been different. But now I'm here in jail. And when I go out of jail, I'm going to make my life better through art. Unfortunately for him, he died in prison. I know a guy who went into the library, came across the book Purpose-Driven Life, and from that end, he decided to change his life, and he became an author, a motivational speaker. But what I'm saying is that the harsh realities that put him in prison, and prison itself, became a lesson and a teacher to them until he realized that his purpose is much bigger. Let's look at the final one, the death of a loved one. They are people who are breadwinners in their families. They are the support system. They are the ones that are carrying this family. And because of their presence, you might feel that you don't need to do something because they are taking care of everything. But at that moment, when God recalls them, that's when reality opens up. That's when, for most people, the lesson drops that I have to stand up and do things for myself. This is not something that I wish for anyone, but it's the reality of life. It happens. And it is at that moment when you lose a loved one that you realize that you've got to stand up for yourself and do things for yourself. That's when you realize that that person is not going to wake up. You have to stand up and do things for yourself. And with that lesson dropping, I've seen people shaking themselves up, no matter how hard it was. And you ask yourself, why didn't they do this long time ago? Because they always had the talent. So what I'm saying is, there will be lessons in life that you are avoiding. There will be experiences that are trying to shape you into becoming a better person, but you are avoiding to take a step. But when that moment comes where you have to change, not because it's a tactical change, but because it's a forced change, it is then that you'll discover who you are. You will discover the best version that you were supposed to be. But don't wait for that moment. Just stand up and do the right thing. But if you don't do it yourself, the universe will force you into the University of Hard Knocks for you to be able to become the best version of yourself. If you like this, if it resonates with you, please subscribe until we meet in the next video. And I hope when I come in the next video, I'll be feeling much better. I'm under the spell of flu at the moment, but I'm taking care of myself. I'm going to take a nap, and whilst I'll be reading your comments and likes and seeing you sharing this content with others. I thank you.